welcome to the Monday Morning Wrap here on Sports Tree Ltd. Folks, I'm Connor Roundtree, and on this week's edition of the Monday Morning Wrap, we're going to wrap up a historical weekend at the Masters. Our Bellator MMA Bracket Challenge got underway with the light heavyweight Grand Prix starting on Friday night. The UFC was back in action, and the ATP Rolex Monte Carlo Masters is in full swing. But without further ado, we're going to get into our weekend wrap-up. The NHL's trade deadline happened earlier this afternoon, and we're going to look at the biggest moves across the NHL in the last 24 hours, starting here in Toronto with the Maple Leafs. They acquired former Columbus Blue Jackets captain Nick Foligno. The good news is they only need to cover 25% of Foligno's cap hit, with the Columbus Blue Jackets and the San Jose Sharks absorbing the brunt of the power forward's contract. The Washington Capitals added Anthony Mantha from the Red Wings for a first-round pick this year, a second-round pick next year, and a pair of wingers. The Florida Panthers acquired Sam Bennett and a sixth-round pick from the Calgary Flames for a second-round pick this year, and Emil Heineman, a second-round pick from last season. Taylor Hall and Curtis Lazar were traded in a package deal to the Boston Bruins from the Buffalo Sabres. The Sabres received Andreas Bork and a second-rounder in return. Our Bellator MMA bracket got underway on the weekend as Ryan Bader beat Lyoto Machida via unanimous decision to kick off both our bracket challenge and the MMA Light Heavyweight World Grand Prix. In the UFC, Marvin Vettori beat Kevin Holland in the main event, and all in all, we were perfect on our weekend of MMA analysis. As for the Masters, our sleeper pick Corey Connors plays. Jordan Spieth finished for a tie for third place, and Jon Rahm finished in a tie for fifth. But the true story of the 85th Masters was Hideki Matsuyama. And that leads us into our bump of the week. Our bump of the week has to go to Hideki Matsuyama, the first ever Japanese-born Masters champion. And this is a product of the growth of the game, and it is incredible to see international players having success on golf's biggest stage. Congratulations, Hideki Matsuyama, and check out the respect his caddy paid to Augusta National, giving the great American course a bow of respect, a gesture that could very well resonate with golfers and fans worldwide. Hideki, you get our bump of the week. As for some of the week, it's our first second-time stump, and it is the Buffalo Sabres. They traded former Hart winner Taylor Hall and the cheeseburger chomper of Ottawa, Curtis Lazar, to the Boston Bruins for a second-round pick. That's right, a second-round pick and Andreas Bjork. Sabres fans, we are praying for you. As for our sporting menu of the week and getting into our appetizer, it is the ATP Monte Carlo Masters, and we have to look at a couple of the matches heading in to the round of 64, which continues tomorrow morning. Well, the top four seeds have a bye to the round of 32, including Nadal and Djokovic. However, you can catch 14th ranked Grigor Dimitrov versus the German Jan-Lennard Struff, and Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime versus 16th ranked Christian Garin. For our entree of the week, it is the second leg of the quarterfinal for the UEFA's Champions League. It all starts on Tuesday and then continues into Wednesday afternoon. For the picks and plays for these games, make sure you tune into our Sports Beat article by Aaron Canton. He's got all the coverage that you need to know going into the games and picks ahead of tomorrow's and Wednesday's action. PSG takes on Bayern Munich. They lead them 3-2 in aggregate. That will be an equally fun and tense matchup starting at 3 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. At the same time, Chelsea takes on Porto, who they lead 2-0 in aggregate. Real Madrid leads Liverpool 3-1 in aggregate heading into their matchup at 3 p.m. on Wednesday. And for the second matchup on Wednesday, Man City leads Dortmund 2-1 in aggregate. Now, because this is not a set bracket, obviously the matchups in the bracket challenge are different from what we see on the pitch. But have no fear, every bracket is on the same point scoring system, so all brackets are scored the same. The winning team will advance. If you took that team, you will get points in your bracket challenge just like any other bracket challenge on Sports Tree. The LPGA swings into our dessert menu with the Latte Championship from Hawaii. With the Olympics around the corner and only 60 women qualifying for the games and just 2 per country, unless that country has multiple golfers sitting in the top 15 of the Rolex rankings, in which case 4 players will be admitted. With only South Korea and the USA qualifying for Olympic seeds, the pressure is on, especially seeing how South Korea and America have 6 women within the top 20 rankings. For any woman that wants to represent their country, they have to the completion of the KPMG Women's PGA Championship, which ends Olympic qualifying on June 27th to make a move. Buckle up, because the Lotte Championship, which fell victim to COVID-19 in 2020, will be on the Golf Channel from 7 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time Wednesday through Sunday. Brooke Henderson is the 2-time defending champion here, winning in 2018 and 2019. The current world number 7 was unable to defend her crown last year, as we said, due to COVID. But now golf is back in Hawaii, and the ladies will be firing. Look for 2016 Olympic gold medalist in B Park to be in the mix, along with the aforementioned two-time defending champion, Canada's Brooke Henderson. As for NHL and NBA fantasy up and downs, with the trade deadlines either approaching or surpassed in the big leagues and fantasy leagues, we're going to take a look at moves that should help you with your playoff pushes. And the first up in the NHL is Jesper Bratt. He's on a 5-game point streak, totaling 7 points in that span. If you need a scoring winger in a playoff push, Jesper Bratt is your guy. And the player that you should be shopping is Matthew Tkachuk. He has been cold, going pointless in 3 straight games, but he does have 7 hits and 5 shots in that span. And head coach Daryl Sutter now has him playing with Johnny Gaudreau. As for the NBA, a guy that you must put up and into your lineup is Gary Trent Jr. The new Raptor is flexing his claws, dropping 67 points in his last 2 games. As for a guy to shop, it's Ange Cantor. The big man is on a high, and he had 30 rebounds in 1 game. Obviously, he can't keep up that production, but with his name value and the uptake in his performance recently, you could steal a consistent scorer. For our MKF Play of the Day, we're going to play a putting up points contest within the NHL, and the first player that you have to take is Austin Matthews. Austin Matthews has 10 points in his last 4 games. Our next pick is Mitchell Marner, and our final pick is Nathan McKinnon. Make sure you punch those guys in on your MKF Putting Up Points contest. As for our trivia question on this week's edition of the Monday Morning Wrap, we're going to look at a little American hockey history and what year did the game called the Miracle on Ice take place. That's your trivia question for this week's edition of the Monday Morning Wrap here on Sports Tree LTD. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's edition of the show. I'm Connor Roundtree, and that's a wrap.
Order up.